because in winters, no matter what time of the day, it seems awfully early to start. So, with that, uh, it is my pleasure and honor to share some of the ground rules. We try to keep our videos on and our sound off unless it's our turn to speak. We try to avoid to create controversy or debate around any sensitive topic because the idea is to have a safe environment for literary discourse and sharing rather than to marginalize or bring down any person or community or group of people. So we are careful like that. With that, it is my honor and privilege to hand over the charge to our presiding officer for today, and that presiding officer for today needs no introduction because he's been on your screen for the past 5 minutes or so. He's an amazing individual, by the way. I asked him for his introduction, but he said that, the whole world knows about me. So it's shameful, in fact, if I have to write my intro. So I'll have to make do with what I know about him. He is an extraordinary genius, and of course, he is also the world's richest person, but he hides that wealth because he's very afraid of street crime in Karachi and the tax authorities and the IMF and World Bank, because if they learned about his wealth, then they would certainly come begging to provide them with credit. And of course, he'll be targeted by Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and Donald Trump, which you don't want, right? Um, so he's written many great novels, but those have been published under other pseudonyms like Stephen King, Ernest Hemingway, Shakespeare. He's decent like that. He doesn't like to brag. So it is my honor and privilege to give you the presiding officer of the club, distinguished Toastmaster, Talha bin Hamid. So here I am, everyone, and as, as president, it is obligatory to me to introduce Toastmasters, but I don't think I need to do that because everyone here is Toastmaster. I would like to introduce WordWise though. WordWise is an advanced club which is based around the concept of celebrating literary brilliance, but not only celebrating that, but creating that, because this is the only club where we teach our members in real time how to create, uh, how to exercise literary writing. It has the usual segments of Toastmasters as well, but we have tweaked and added certain segments of our own. And you will see as the meeting progresses, we have our signature uh, spontaneous creative writing. We have our pathway speeches. We have our interpretive reading as well. And we have our table topics. Uh, so, with that, it is my time to ask introductions from some of the guests that we have. So first, I would like to uh, ask someone to introduce themselves who I know to be Toastmaster Irfan Qureshi, although he hasn't labeled himself as such. So, Toastmaster Irfan, please introduce yourself. Toastmaster Irfan, would you like to introduce yourself? Okay, we'll come back to you. Toastmaster Joanne Joseph, sorry. Please introduce yourself and correct my pronunciation if I botched it, which I
You're
certainly
one
don't.
of those few people, DTM Taha, who has pronounced it right in the first time. It's Joanne. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm Joanne Joseph from Palawa Toastmasters Club, that is in District 98 in Mumbai. And I'm extremely excited and a little bit nervous to be here because I've heard so much about your club that I feel like I don't need an introduction. I just need to see the entire meeting. I mean, I don't have anything more to say. I'm a content writer by profession, which sounds very exciting, but it is not. It's just simple news writing. So I'm looking forward to your literary writing segment, to see what creativity sprouts out from the entire meeting. And thank you so much, especially to Srijita for the invitation, and really looking forward to the meeting. Back to you.
Oh, I know the pain of content writers. You know, you write poetry and they want you to dumb it down to a nursery rhyme. Isn't that true?
Oh, it's even worse than that. It's
Oh,
even worse than
okay.
that.
I'm glad you understand. Toastmaster Fan Qureshi, please introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, distinguished Toastmaster Hamid. My name is Irfan Qureshi. I'm serving president in our Toastmaster Club. It's a great honor to see my mentors, Toastmasters, Irfan, Mehr Tanvir, Talha Hamid, and I'm always, here for learning, grabbing some power from my mentors. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Fan Qureshi, for gracing the meeting with your presence. We have Toastmaster Fahim Razak. Please introduce yourself. Okay, yeah, there you are.
Hello, everyone. My name is Fahim Razak. I've been associated with Karachi Toastmasters Club for the last 3 years. And I have had the privilege to know our presiding officers who gave a brilliant intro about himself for the past 3 years. I'm glad to be here and looking forward to the meeting. Thank you for having me.
So yeah, Fahim, great to have you. And I hope you don't find the meeting too rich for your blood as you did last time.
I probably will.
Okay, that's even better then. We have succeeded in our mission. Toastmaster, or is that Toastmaster Aiza Osmani? Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Aiza. As you can already see, I am supposed to join WordWise soon, inshallah. I haven't joined that yet. The last meeting I attended of yours was a month ago, and I wasn't able to attend your 50th, and I think anniversary meeting because I had prior commitments. So I wasn't quite happy about that. So I'm happy to be here today with all of you.
Looking forward, Aiza. Great to have you. And you know what's the best way to avoid introducing yourself in every meeting? Becoming a member. Yeah. Uh, we have Toastmaster Mudit Bhandari. Would you like to introduce yourself? And please correct my pronunciation in the process.
Yeah, it's absolutely right. I'm Mudit Bandari from Goregaon Speakers Community, a club in District 98, and looking forward to see how the meeting goes and meet you all.
Great, great. We, I believe, have a returning guest, Nidhi Jajda.
I'm sorry, you are saying?
No, I'm asking for introduction of Toastmaster Nidhi.
Hello everyone. So this is my second time in the
Yeah.
WordWise Toastmaster. I'm at the same district as Mudit is. I'm from District 98 and I belong to Toastmaster Club called BKC Fireflies. Looking forward for a meeting.
Great, great. So at this point, I would like to halt the guest introductions for now, and perhaps we'll tap some of the guests at the end of the meeting because we have to get started with the meeting. We are, I think, 3 or 4 minutes over time. So without further ado, I would like to introduce someone who is a brilliant and amazing human being above all. And when she speaks, it's always like poetry. And she is also Pakistan's first world champion of video speech contest. But if you know Toastmaster Mehr Tanvir like we do, you would also know that that's just one very minor achievement in her list of achievements. So over to you, Toastmaster Mehr Tanvir, our Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Acting President and founder of WordWise Advanced Toastmasters Club, for that very generous introduction. And the list of achievements have many, many mentors behind them. Never can we achieve any feat or conquer any mountain without having the support of those behind us. I am really pleased and privileged to invite you all to the 51st meeting of WordWise Advanced Toastmasters Club, and we have a wonderful barrage and stream of events lined up for you today. So to get right into the theme, the narrative of number and the number in the narrative. Sacred number. These days, the lore of sacred number has been usurped by a tide of quantitative numbers. Yet, all science has its origin in magic. And in the ancient schools, no magician was unschooled in the power of number. So writes Miranda Lundy in Sacred Number, The Secret Qualities of Quantities, a treasure trove of the ancient symbolic and deep meanings of number, mystic arithmology, where the narrative of number begins with unity, the one, God, the Great Spirit, permanence. There are innumerable names for it. The seed and center of the universe, the point and circle of origin, unique. There is no other, only the one. And to speak of it is a paradox, for we would require separation from the one to see it, and thus delve into the realm of duality. Duality, where there are opposites, odd and even, right and left, hot and cold, positive and negative charges, the introduction of gender, male and female, sun and moon, and where when two parts are working as one, we use the prefix bi, such as bicycle and binary. But when discord occurs, our words begin with die, as in division, disruption, dichotomy, and difference. Nature is written in mathematical language. So said, so wisely, the great Italian astronomer and physicist Galileo Galilei. This language and its vocabulary of number is indeed all around us and within us. Our first recognition of number comes from life itself, the steady, reassuring rhythm of our mother's heartbeats and our own, harmonizing to the music of a new creation. The rhythmic poetry of number, then, is embedded within us. The ancients recognized this. Pythagoreans believed that numbers held the key to understanding the mysteries of the universe, while Plato's philosophy emphasized the importance of numbers in understanding the nature of reality and the self. Thus, knowledge of number evolved into the quadrivium. Quad in Latin, meaning four, and vium derived from via, meaning road or way, originally referring to a place where four roads met, a crossroads or public square. The four liberal arts of arithmetic, the study of number itself, geometry, number in space, harmony or music or number in time, and cosmology or astronomy, number in space and time. But wait, the value of the quadrivium was only completed by the remaining three liberal arts of the trivium. The trivium of language, as Keith Critchlow explains. The expression of the objective values of truth, beauty, and goodness, whose three subjects are grammar, that ensures the good structure of language, logic for finding truth, and rhetoric for the beautiful use of language in expressing truth. All three language arts imbibe the beauty of mathematical concepts, structure, logic, and the measured use of words, syllables, and sentences to mirror the intrinsic rhythm within. Together, the trivium and quadrivium make up the 7 liberal arts, a number that represents perfection and completion, such as the completion of the 7 days of creation, the 7 heavens, the 7 deadly sins, and the 7 virtues that oppose them. Together, they complete knowledge and lead the learning soul back into the realm of harmonious wholeness, back to unity. Here at WordWise, we pride ourselves on dedicating our themes to the results of this expression, and as our acting president so fluently explained, the love of language and literature from around the world. Our meeting proceeds like the pages of a book. We begin with the preface of introduction to this meeting, followed by its episodes or prepared pathway speeches. Beyond this, our story opens new chapters that have never been seen before in the Toastmasters community. Book reviews, interpretive readings, acting the word from scripts and plays, and our unique content writing segment, where participants pen down their thoughts on the topic of the day on the spot, writing from the heart to reveal some of the most beautiful prose that we have heard to date. Of course, no meeting can be successful without its role players. And I'd like to introduce our timer for the day, Distinguished Toastmaster Talha bin Hamid, to explain his role. Distinguished Toastmaster Talha's favorite number is 25 because it's the sum of 2 perfect squares and itself a perfect square. Over to you, DTM Talha.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Mehr Tanvir. So every segment in Toastmasters is timed. Prepared speeches are usually 5 to 7 minutes. So I'll be showing the green at 5, yellow at 6, and red at 7. Our extempore writing segment is 3 to 5 minutes. So it will be 3, 4, and 5. And whenever we have table topics, it is 1, 1.5, and 2. For evaluations, it is 2, 2.5, and 3. Every time you see red, that means that you have 30 seconds to wind up your presentation. Otherwise, you're at the risk of disqualification, not to mention derailing the time of the meeting and disturbing the delegate balance that holds the entire universe in balance. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much, DTM Talha. And our language evaluator for the day is none other than DTM Asma Naz. DTM Asma Naz is currently president of CA Toastmasters Club. She is also the BPM of WordWise Toastmasters. And her favorite number is 22 because she was born on that date and she always finds something good around that.
Thank you, Toastmaster Meher, for such a wonderful introduction. And as language evaluator, what I'll be doing, I'll be taking note of incorrect usage of grammar, and also I'll be noting down creative usage of English language. And at the end of the meeting, I will present my report without mentioning the name of the speakers who used it. And I will also mention the incorrect usage along with the suggestion. So that's for the language evaluation part. And for word of the day, I would request Toastmaster Meher to allow me to share the screen. If I guess I can.
You can share this screen.
Yeah. So here it is. Just a minute. Is my screen visible to everyone? Okay. The word of the day is sidle. It means to move sideways or obliquely, especially in a shy or stealthy manner. It's a verb and it's pronounced as sidle. And the sentence that I come up with, she sidled up to him, hoping to overhear the conversation. Or the cat sidled through the narrow gap in the door. Its synonyms: skull, edge, creep, sneak. And antonym: march, stride, dash. And fun fact or etymology is, it's from Middle English, sidling, meaning to move sideways. First used in nearly 17th century, often associated with shy or secretive movement in storytelling. So if we see in a visual prompt, it's in the background, you can also see. And I would request everyone to use the word of the day, settle in their conversations today. And I'll be noting down how many times who used it. Thank you. The word of the day is settle.
Thank you, DK Misma. Thank you very much. Our next role player is our Let's Word It Curator, and we have a new Let's Word It Curator today who is participating in this role for the very first time, none other than Toastmaster Aarti. Toastmaster Aarti joined Toastmasters in November 2020 with Sobo Toastmasters, and she has served in several roles as the Associate Secretary, the co-officer for PR, the VP PR, VP membership, and the president. And in 2023, she was the youngest district finalist in District 98's ISA. A huge round of applause for Toastmaster Aarti. One wonderful thing about Toastmaster Aarti is that her favorite number is 9. And because apparently it's her birthday, and it's also my mom's birthday. So we have this wonderful parallel and symmetry and coincidence going on that really warms my heart. Over to you, Toastmaster Aarti.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Mehr, and a virtual high five to you. Just a quick question. Can I start my segment now, or do I just introduce the role like everyone did?
Right. So we just introduced the topic, and then you can pick 3 to 4 participants, people volunteer.
Amazing. So, ladies and gentlemen, first I'd like to thank Mehr and Toastmaster Cyril for inviting me to lead today's segment. My topic for today is going to be very simple, but before I reveal that, I'd like to explain what the segment is all about for the benefit of our guests and new members. So, Let's Word It is a segment unique to WordWise Toastmasters. Usually in Toastmasters meetings, you have extempore speaking, but WordWise has extempore writing, in which I will give you a topic, and just as the timer said, you have to draft something for 3 to 5 minutes. What something? It can be anything. It can be a short story, poem, vignette, analogy, anything that comes to your mind, but for 3 to 5 minutes. Do we have any questions? No? Okay. So I'll begin with this topic. This topic I have taken from 2005's Stanford commemoration speech. It was given by a very a visionary, an iconic individual who disrupted the tech industry as we know it. They say he was very ahead of his time, and the speech is probably something you have all heard. But there's something very interesting in this that caught my attention. This was written. This was written by someone who could not, who dropped out of college, who had no direction in life, who almost drained out his adoptive parents' entire savings. And that's scary. We've all been there. And the uncertainty can get to you. But he went on to do some very big things in the world. And all of that only made sense to him when he looked back. So, would anyone like to guess who I am talking about? You can unmute yourself.
Steve
I see
Jobs.
Srijita.
Steve
probably knows.
Jobs.
Steve Jobs. Amazing,
Yeah.
guys. That's absolutely right. The man needs no introduction. But we know Steve Jobs. We know everything he's done. But today I want to know about you. The topic for today is you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. I repeat, you cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. We know who Steve Jobs is, but today I want to know how this topic resonates with you. When was the time when you trusted your gut and followed your heart, even though it led you down an unexpected path? I have 4 slots open, and the bidding begins now. Okay, guys, 4 volunteers. Anyone. This, by the way, this is open to guests and members. Guests, please feel free to come in.
Go for it, folks. You have about 40 minutes to come up with a 3-minute speech on the topic. Yeah, it's
So
unlike a
you
table
can-
topic when there is absolutely no timeline. You need to start speaking. You have 40 minutes to write a story on that speech. on that topic.
Just to add on to that, that's just about 300 words of writing. All right. Can we recommend some volunteers? Toastmaster Mehr, Toastmaster Cyril.
Isa, how would you like to give it a shot? Nidhi?
Yeah, sure.
All right, that's
Absolutely, I will.
okay. We have one.
I have 40 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Now I'm looking for two.
Yes.
Some duality. Yeah.
May I suggest Toastmaster Joane? Would she like to?
I really wouldn't.
Would you be up for it,
Because this
Joane?
goes from my professional arena.
Joanne, I'm sure you'll be better than I will. Go ahead.
We'll get to learn something from you today.
Hi, please.
No.
You must. Please don't break Srijita's heart. This is the first time she's recommended someone. Come on, Joanne.
Okay, fine.
We're rooting
Yeah.
for you.
Good.
Wonderful. Okay. And now we have the 1 and the 2, and now we need the 3 to complete the triad. That will give us our harmony.
All right. Whom
That
else?
first stable
Whom else can we pick up? Can we have a guest, another guest? Or 1 second, we already have 2 guests. So a member, please. Okay, TBH, right?
No, yeah. I would like to recommend someone instead of taking a
Okay.
place.
Please go ahead.
Toastmaster Fahim Razak.
I had the same idea.
Where is he? Fahim, would you be up to it? Up for it. Up for it. Please
Don't
prepare
ask.
it. Don't catch me.
Don't ask. Just inform.
Okay, Fahim, you're up next. I do have 1 more slot open, so guys, it's a safe space. And just by the way, the
Can I
entire
have it?
idea behind Shakil, is that you?
No, Asma.
Asma. I also see Shakil's hand
Asma
up.
and Shakil both. Asma and Shakil both. Yeah.
Can we take 2 people? Meher?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, go for it.
Asma is a member, so let's
Shakil, can I get an audio confirmation from you? So I know that's not accidental. Maybe he's shy, and maybe we'll see what he has to offer in his writing. So with that, back to you, Toastmaster Meher.
Thank you,
I am
Toastmaster.
on board. I am on board.
Great. Toastmaster Shakil, good to see you here. Yeah.
Toastmaster Aarti, could you just put the topic on the chat? There are some people who'd like to know what it is. You may have 1 more person coming in, or maybe 2 more.
Okay, thank you for that. So the dots may not connect going forward, but they will definitely connect when we look back in hindsight. What a wonderful topic and how well connected with the theme. I love your use of geometry, using the dots and the connections with literature and math right there, ladies and gentlemen. So we have busted the myth and this understanding that literature and math are at odds with each other. In fact, no, we realize that these connections between these 2 vast subjects are manifold and in no way can be covered or justified within just a few conversations. Rather, we shall attempt to square the circle and offer a few glimpses into their intricate parallels and creative borrowings, as outlined by Engelhardt and Tubbs in the Palgrave Handbook of Literature and Maths. But first comes the geometry of storytelling. So what does that mean? Now, as St. Thomas Aquinas shared with us, the senses delight in things duly proportioned. The senses delight in things duly proportioned. And the geometry of storytelling does just that. We find that there are, in fact, patterns in the way that we express ourselves. As renowned math teacher Eddie Wu brilliantly points out in his TED Talk, we ourselves are but a reflection of the world we live in. Just as the trees spread out their roots and branches, and the river deltas are probed by the watery tributaries, and our own bodies repeat themselves in recursive patterns called fractals that bring oxygen and nutrients and breath to every cell of our body. We are sustained by the patterns of nature. The stories we tell reflect this very structure that we see around us. How many of you have seen Love Actually, or its Desi version, Salame-Ishq? I'm sure quite a few. Any hands there? All right. So this story, this film plot, revolved around about 5-6 different couples, and it follows them each walking through their own trials of love, even meeting and impacting each other's stories along the way. Now, each story reflects the larger theme of love itself, yet it is a unique shade of its own. Parental love, puppy love, forbidden love, love unrequited, betrayed love, and love beyond borders. As we see that these patterns reflect the same recursive iterations that we see in nature, those of the capillaries, those of the rivers, where the large river distributes itself into minor rivers and then into minor canals and then into streams that water every inch of earth, and the branches of the trees that reach out to the sky. Smaller and smaller networks, but yet the same pattern of growth. This storytelling plot and structure is also reflected in medieval times, in medieval literature. For example, in Geoffrey Chaucer's The Canterbury Tales, which is a prime example of fractal storytelling. Now, the pilgrimage to Canterbury is the main storyline, the main jugular vein, as you can say, but it's interwoven with individual tales told by each of the pilgrims, and each repeating the larger themes of love, betrayal, and redemption along the journey. Another example is Dante's Divine Comedy, where the poem travels through the triad of hell, purgatory, and heaven, and each journey contains smaller episodes that reflect the larger spiritual journey, exploring sin, repentance, and salvation. All of this narrative structure creates depth in the plot and character development. Before we explore these structures further, let's continue with our journey along the story of WordWise and start with our episodes, our prepared speeches, where we can see how our speakers, our illustrious speakers, have structured their own narratives and learn a little bit about life, leadership, love, and whatever they have to offer. My first speaker of the day is none other than our multitasking role player, DTM Talha bin Hamid.
Sorry, can you come again?
Yes, DTM Talha bin Hamid, are you ready to go as the first speaker for prepared speeches?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
All right, okay. Thank you very much. And the evaluator for DTM Talha bin Hamid is Toastmaster Joane Joseph, who has very kindly joined us today. Toastmaster Joane, would you like to expound on the evaluation project, the project objectives of the evaluation?
Yeah. So DTM Talha is going to give the level 1 project 2, that is writing a speech with purpose. The purpose of this project is simply to write a speech, take out a topic, and hopefully by the end of the speech, we'll get to know what the purpose of this speech is from DTM Talha. The timing is 5 to 7 minutes. Over to you. All the best, DTM Talha.
Thank you very much. And as Toastmaster Joane told us at the beginning, yes, please check your audio visual.
Yeah. Am I audible and visible?
You are audible. If you could set your camera so that we can see all of you.
Just doing it.
Right.
Is it okay now?
We can see you. You're like on your side. Not
Yeah.
right.
Just let me turn the phone.
You need to
Just
rotate by an angle.
Just,
Okay.
yeah. I planned to do all this because I thought I was the second speaker, but it turned out no, I'm the first one. So
I'm so sorry. I thought you were. All right.
no, it's all right.
So
Yeah.
meanwhile, an extended introduction of Toastmaster Joane, as she told us that she joined Toastmasters in 2022 with Pallava Toastmasters Club. She is a guest of Toastmasters Srijita, and we are ever grateful to her for inviting Toastmaster Joane to our club because she is a double division champion in the evaluation contest. Mashallah. And Mumbai holds a special place in her heart, while her second home is the serene mountain of Himachal, where she is currently staying, and she mentioned that. Toastmaster Joane, very interestingly, doesn't have a favorite number. And by not having a favorite number, her favorite number is 0. In fact, 0, why? Because it's a symbol of nothingness. And that paradoxically adds meaning and power to so many things in her own words. I found this so fascinating to hear. And also more fascinating to know is that, did you know where the symbol of 0 comes from? Anyone?
Aryabhatta.
Sorry?
Aryabhatta.
Aryabhatta, could you explain that?
So the meaning behind it, I just said the name of the person who gave the symbol 0. So I don't know the meaning behind it. I'm sure you will enlighten us.
Right, right. So when we put a pebble in the sand and then we remove the pebble, now the pebble is no longer there, right? It's not there. There are 0 pebbles in the sand, but the pebble has left an imprint in the sand. And so that shape, that imprint is the shape of the 0. And it took so long for theologians and mathematicians and all the physicists to actually come to terms with the fact that we can, in fact, have something as a concept such as nothingness. It does exist. So enjoying the spaces between our journey, let's give a pause and allow DTM Talha to adjust himself while I announce his.
Yes. So I think I've adjusted. I'm audible and visible, right?
Very well.
All right.
Okay. Have you pinned the timer? Toastmaster Cyril is your timer.
Yes. No, I'll time myself. No worries there.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. DTM Talha, the devil on the road. The devil on the road. DTM Talha bin Hamid.
It was a hot, sweltering evening in Karachi. April, May, June, July, August, September. You name the month and Karachi is hot. I was standing on a signal, waiting for the light to turn green. Sweat was trickling down my back. My helmet was like a furnace. It hurt to breathe because it raised the temperature, and yet I had to breathe. The horns were honking. There was smog in the air. Everyone was cross and testy. Thank God, at least I was not far from my home. So as soon as the light turned green, I revved up my motorcycle. Twice, thrice I kicked and kicked furiously, and yet the bikes died with a sputter. I was desperate. Everyone was honking behind me. Cars were passing by me. And I was looking at the green light because it was to turn red at any moment. I had to get through. I had to get through. If I didn't get through right now, I will never, ever get through. So I kicked once again, and finally the bike sprang into action. I lurched forward and on my way to crossing the road. The only problem is by that time the light had turned green. The light had turned red. And I saw a burgundy red SUV sprinting towards me. It swerved towards me, and I watched in horror as it barely escaped hitting me. But the damage was done because the gust of wind had knocked me and my bicycle. And as I fell down in slow motion, the SUV passed before my eyes, and the driver, the jerk, the devil driving that SUV, was making some rude gestures and shouting something at me, something like this. I fell down
and I saw the SUV swishing by. People picked me up, and I wondered to myself, where did I go wrong? I only crossed signal when it was red, but I didn't know. Was I the first one in the history of the universe to do it? No, where did I go wrong? Flip. It was a hot, sweltering August afternoon in Karachi. I was sitting in my car, so worried about the upcoming board meeting tomorrow. Stuck in traffic, hot and miserable. Yes, my car was air conditioned, but does your air condition ever work when it's needed? Neither did mine. Sweat was trickling down my back, and around my head was a swirling devil's mixture of thoughts and negativity and worries about the future. At least I was the first in line to cross the signal. As soon as the light turned green, I pressed the pedal to the metal and lurched forward, only to see a motorcycle crossing my path. The idea of going home left my head. Instead, I went after that devil on the road. I swerved my steering and switched near him. And to my utmost pleasure and satisfaction, he fell down. I saw him falling down in slow motion, and as I passed him by, I shouted to him, "This is what happens when you break the law. See, that is my signal. I'm driving here. I'm driving here." In my rear view mirror, I could see the biker falling down. But to my utmost regret and shame, he got back up. I thought I had done the job perfectly well, but no, he got back up. He had recovered. Anyhow, what was done was done. I reached home and reflected on what had really happened. Was the boiling surge of anger caused by the biker, or was it caused by myself? I was at the start of my famous migraines, and it was like always, "Hello, darkness, my old friend. Come to talk with you again." Fellow Toastmasters and guests, have you ever fallen victim to road rage? I'm sure you have. Each and every day in a big city is a major struggle to retain your sanity. You might be walking, riding a bicycle, riding a motorcycle, riding a bus, or driving a car. And no matter what mode of transportation you have, you see people breaking the law all the time. But have you stopped to consider whether they know the law in the first place? And if not, is it their fault or is it all of ours? And isn't it true that sometimes we overreact to minor situations, whereas we stay silent while paying 70,000 rupees for a plastic shoe that was made in a Chinese sweatshop for less than 5,000 rupees? Fellow Toastmasters and guests, next time, whether myself or you fall victim to the road rage, perhaps a good idea would be to take a deep breath and think what could be the reason behind it. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you very much, distinguished Toastmaster Talha, for taking us on this adventure. And everyone can relate. I think road rage is something that is very pervasive, ubiquitous, and especially in Karachi, Lahore, Pindi, I'm sure in Mumbai as well. So I'm glad you got out of that in one piece. and also the others around you. Thank you very much for that wonderful, humorous exposition. And my bad, yes, indeed, you were the second speaker, but I made you go first because you are number one in my eyes. All right. So now we come to our designated first speaker, who is also number one in my eyes, but because she is a guest, we gave her a bit of leverage. And we decided to save the best for last in that respect. Toastmaster Sadia is very generously and very kindly joining us from Contour Toastmasters. She is a district finalist in the Urdu speech contest, and she is here to present a speech from Pathway Dynamic Leadership, Level 2, Project 2, and I would like to invite her evaluator, Toastmaster Muhammad Asghar, to read out the project objectives.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the morning. Toastmaster Sadia will be our next speaker. Toastmaster Sadia Samar will be speaking from the project leadership level 2. The pathway is understanding your communication style. She is expected to learn about the different communication style and identify our primary leadership style by sharing the impact of our style on others. Toastmaster Sadia Samad, over to you.
All right, thank you. And let me give a brief introduction first. Yes, I have to announce the title. Toastmaster Sadia, please get comfortable and do your audio-visual check. Please pin the timer. The timer in this case is DTM Talha bin Hamid. He has taken up the role again. Let me confirm. Toastmaster Sadia gave me a very interesting response when I asked her what her favorite number was. And guess what it is? Does anyone have any wild guesses? Any wild guesses?
0.
All right, 0 has been done. And let me tell you, everybody had a different favorite number.
13, 1, 3.
Infinity.
1.
Infinity. Okay. 5, 7. All right. Very close.
1.
1. Okay. All right. There's a 5 in there. There's also a 7 in there. How? Because her favorite number is 253 and 2 plus 5 is 7. And by chance, this is her favorite number. Why? Because the address of her childhood home was 253. Her landline included the number 253. Her first car had 253 in its registration. Every car she's owned since then has had the same. All 4 of her family members have 253 in their mobile numbers. And with all this, 2 plus 5 plus 3 equals 10, which reduces to 1, the number of growth and leadership. Mind blown. Toastmaster Sadia is Assistant Vice President, Sales and Marketing of Autosoft Dynamics, and her favorite hobby is to spend quality time with her family. A lovely, lovely person and someone I deeply cherish spending time with. I'd like to announce her to the stage. If you're ready, I can announce your speech title.
Yes, please. Thank you so much, Mehr, for this lovely introduction.
Thank you for sending it, and thank you so much. All right, Toastmaster Sadia Samad, Leadership Through Words. Leadership Through Words, Toastmaster Sadia Samad.
Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. Has anyone ever witnessed a crazy combo of starting a new job and getting married at the same time? No one? And on the top of that, stick with the same job and with the same spouse with over 2 decades by now. Sounds weird or interesting? No, I think nothing interesting. Okay. So let me take you to my story with no magical pumpkins, just a modern day fairy tale with lots of resilience, hard work, and leadership lessons. Let me take you back to May 2005, a month that forever changed my life. I got married, moved to Lahore, and started my journey with Autosoft Dynamics as an IT coordinator. Thinking this would just be another job, little did I know that this will change my career, my leadership, and my communication style to over 2 decades. Before Autosoft Dynamics, I was associated with one of the leading group, that is Southern groups, a lush setup in Razia Sharif Plaza with beautiful park view, very wonderful coffee corners, and everything was perfectly arranged in my cabin. Life felt comfortable and secure. Then comes the whirlwind, marriage, relocation, and starting a new job at Autosoft Dynamics. When I started my job, they were moving their offices. There wasn't even a single space for me to sit. The CEO offered me to spot at the space where they have situated the printers. No air conditioner, nothing, not feasible for anyone to work. And on the top of it, I was expecting mother. To make things more worse, my probation period comes. And the review was as harsh as anyone could accept. They conditionally confirmed me for my job. I've called my father, having tears in my eyes and feeling so much defeated and so much frustrated. His response was simple but very empowering. मेरी बेटियों को नौकरियों की कमी है, लानत भेजो ऐसी नौकरी को, 1000 नौकरियां मिलेंगी, लेकिन बेटा ऐसी छोड़ना कि तुम्हें दुनिया याद रखे, और मेरे बच्चे कभी सरेंडर नहीं करते. That means my daughter has countless job opportunities, but live in a way that the world will remember you, and my children never surrender. My dear fellows, those words ignite me a fire in me. I decided I wouldn't quit. I wouldn't surrender. Within 6 months, I turned the things around. My provision period ended, along with a promotion in my hand. And my manager uttered the words, "Tum cheez kya ho? What sort of person you are?" Over the years, life settled into a rhythm, but then another time of turbulence. That is Autosoft acquisition. After 15 years of service, I witnessed restructuring, layoffs, and countless challenges where quitting from the job would be the best and easiest option. But this time, it wasn't me. It was my company and my team members. So I stood there. Once again, my father's mantra echoed in my mind. Never quit without leaving a legacy. That mindset pushed me to stay determined. Within 6 months of acquisition, I again get a promotion from senior manager, business development, to AVP sales and marketing. My fellows, my father was not only strengthened me and my determination, but it also formed me to be a strong leader with a good communication and positive approach, leading towards the 3 major principles that we all need to follow. Number 1 is the directness. My father's words, always clear and concise, teaching me the value of giving the response.
We seem to have lost Toastmaster Sadia. If everyone could...
They are very cutting and have got through. And of course, this should not just straightforward, but it also should have a clarity to save time and build a trust with others. Number 2, supportiveness. We all need this. His belief in me has made me and stayed me positive and motivated. Like him, now I aim to build confidence by motivating and approaching and appreciating people by communicating with them in a very positive manner and giving them a feedback so that can lead towards their success. And the last but not the least, initiation. It's a key. Always call to action. If something needs to do it, do it. Do it. This is the essence that we everyone need. His proactive mindset inspired me to take a lead, whether starting a project or resolving the challenges. Through actions, I honor his example and inspire others. So, my dear fellow Toastmasters and my dear guests, effective communication is a powerful tool that requires active listening, that requires clarity, that requires empathy and adaptability. Be concise, be positive while delivering your message to anyone. That will lead not for your success, but for other success as well. Words used thoughtfully can inspire, uplift, and transform lives, providing the strength and clarity needed to overcome the challenges and to pursue the growth. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Sadia Samad. Let's do it is the message. Don't hold back. Communicate effectively. Listen to your mentor and go and achieve those daunting heights, which are not so daunting at the end of the day. And you are standing at the top and you are looking down on where you started out and feeling great about yourself. So the poll is up by our very efficient poll master, DTM Talha bin Hamid and Toastmaster Sadia Samad. You are free to vote. Meanwhile, continuing with our theme of geometric storytelling, all of you must have noticed that there was a pattern in the way the story started with the introduction and background, went to a climax, had a mentor who coached the protagonist, and then had its resolution. Now, this is very commonly known as Freytag's pyramid. Freytag's pyramid, where we have the exposition, which is the introduction of the story. We provide the background information, such as the settings, the characters, the initial situation. For example, in Romeo and Juliet, this was the feud between the Montagues and Capulets and Romeo's infatuation with Rosaline. And of course, DTM Talha's journey on the road and Toastmaster Sadia's attempt to get the best job possible for herself. And then we have the rising action, the events that lead to the central conflict of the story. In DTM Talha's case, the road rage, the people who are not following the rules. In Toastmaster Sadia's case, those who were not recognizing her abilities and giving her the position she deserved. And in Romeo and Juliet's case, the tension that built as the conflict between their families deepened. And then we have the climax, which is the turning point in the story's moment of highest tension. And this marks a decisive change for the protagonist. Romeo kills a member of the opposite family. DTM Talha almost kills somebody. And Toastmaster Sadia finds a mentor who prevents her from killing somebody. But this sets off irreversible consequences, leading to the falling action, which is the aftermath of the climax, where the conflicts begin to resolve. And the story moves towards its conclusion, where DTM Talha tries to resolve his anguish and angst internally through philosophy, through humility, through all the moral learnings that he has gained over time. Toastmaster Sadia decides to give it her best shot, show what she's made of, and gets a better position at the end of it all. Romeo and Juliet, meanwhile, hatch a secret plan to be together, and it is set into motion. But as misunderstandings escalate, there is a resolution, which is the conclusion of the story. And where all the loose ends are tied up, the takeaway is given, the message is conveyed. In Toastmaster Sadia's case, a very motivational message of never giving up. In DTM Talha's case, a very humble message of trying to improve the civic sense amongst our countrymen and taking the high road. Literally, when beset with such a situation. And in the Romeo and Juliet's case, they resolved their conflict by dying together. Not the best of situations, but at least it was concluded. And of course, another geometrical structure that we see in these stories and narratives is the hero's circle. There's the call to action. You can refuse the call or you can take the call. There is a supernatural aid or a mentor, then you cross the threshold, you create allies or enemies, you go through your ordeal, you battle for your right, And then you go back, you go on your road back, you overcome temptation or overcome the temptation to kill someone or the temptation to give in, and you find your way back to yourself in a transformed manner. So many examples in modern and medieval and classical literature abound. For example, Bilbo Baggins from The Hobbit by J.R. Tolkien. He follows the hero's circle to receive his call to adventure, goes through trials and tribulations, and returns home as a transformed individual. The same repeats for Santiago in The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, and for Percy in Percy Jackson and the Olympians. They all follow the hero's circle, and they learn something along the way. Symmetry. Who hasn't seen symmetry in the stories that we read? It reflects the symmetry of nature as we see all around us. In To Kill a Mockingbird, for example, the novel structure is very symmetrical, where the first part focuses on the childhood innocence of Scout and Jem, and the second part deals with the loss of this innocence as they confront racial injustice. The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald has a symmetrical structure, which is evident in the mirrored events of Gatsby's rise and fall, as well as the parallel relationships between Gatsby and Daisy and Tom and Myrtle. Beloved by Toni Morrison. In this novel, the narrative alternates between past and present, reflecting the character's struggle to reconcile their traumatic history with their current lives. All very effective narrative structures and concepts. And finally, we have the spiral of development, which is not only the spiral of character development, but can also be used as a concept or as a metaphor within the plot itself. For example, the spiral staircase in the movie Inception. And then, of course, there are the spiral arcs of character development, such as in The Life of Pi, where the protagonist goes through a spiral arc of character development as he survives a shipwreck and various other tribulations, learns to coexist with a Bengali tiger, and with each challenge deepens his understanding of faith, survival, and himself. Before we move on to the next segment, I'd like to mention something very special about the role player that we have. In fact, if I could just confirm whether Gulezera is with us, because she did request that she could go a bit later. Toastmaster Srijita, is it possible for you to take up the role for now? And yeah, I hope I'm not on the spot. All right. I actually wanted to begin this meeting with these comments. This would have been most pertinent, but I decided to save it for Toastmaster Srijita's segment. The 51st meeting. The 51st meeting is so special because, as Toastmaster Srijita told me, that 51 is a very special number in Indian culture. And the principle is that 1 is supposed to be a token of fortune and luck, as she said. So if we add 1 to any round number, such as 50, because she was also mentioning how she attended our 50th celebration, and internally she was thinking that when I mentioned, I hope that we get to celebrate the 100th anniversary with you, she was thinking, oh, you're going to be here with me on the 51st already. So the 51st is in fact very lucky for us because this is going to be Toastmaster Srijita's first performance in WordWise as a WordWise member, and a huge round of applause for that. We are really pleased to have her on board. She's a lovely, lovely person, a very curious individual, a psychologist in training, and many things that we share in common in having younger siblings whom we have to really match our wits up to. Her favorite number, as she told me, was, drum roll, ta-ta-da. Yeah, I seem to have lost it, although she shared several wonderful math information with me otherwise as well. Yeah.
May I chime in?
Please mention your favorite number because it was absolutely fascinating what you said.
It was 343.
Got it. The palindrome. Yes,
Yeah.
343. And why did you like it? Because I just found it. Yeah.
It's 7 cube, and yeah, I just like it a lot. And as you mentioned, it's a palindrome, so it's
Yeah.
just a number that I like a lot.
Nice. And you liked the fact that it has 2 3s. So definitely Toastmaster Sarajita has a very symmetrical sense of rhythm. I can sense it in you. Over to you, Toastmaster Sarajita. She is going to be leading our interpretive reading segment, which the Wordsworth segment, in which participants can recite any piece of poetry or prose from any language in the world. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Meher, for that lovely introduction. And I am so glad, honored, and giddily excited to be presenting this segment. I have had my eyes on it ever since I attended the first meeting, and now I am here. Let me begin by sharing my screen. Yes. Today, I bring to you two very different poems. Oh, wait a minute. Two very different poems. The first one happens to be a love song or a love poem. And the second one happens to be a call to brave action in the face of social distress. Now, these are poems that stand poles apart, but we will see how the turn of phrase goes and where it takes us. So, moving on to the first one. The first poem is by Sarojini Naidu. She was one of the most pivotal figures in India's struggle for independence and was known for her words, her poems, and her voice, known as the Nightingale of India, crowned so by Mahatma Gandhi, the father of the nation. And this poem of hers is an ode to the courage and devotion a person will choose to live when they're in love. This was first published in her collection titled The Broken Wing, Songs of Love, Death, and Destiny in the year 1915, somewhere between 1915 and 1916. The exact date isn't known. Now, the reason this poem is also very important is because of her own love story. Our Sarojini Naidu happened to fall in love with a boy who was from a lower caste when she was 14 years old. You might have heard of India's rigid and very fairly aggressive caste system. And their love was opposed very vehemently by her family because she was born Sarojini Chattopadhyay from an upper caste family. And her family decided to send her off to Cambridge to study. Sarojini Naidu headed there, studied there, English literature, very on point. But within 3 years, she left her degree, came back, and at 19 years of age, married the love of her life, contracting an intercaste marriage. And the marriage was known to be very blissful and long. And both families eventually approved of their union, which is what tells me that not only did she write about courage and love, but also lived it. So let's hear the poem. The poem is titled, If You Call Me. If you call me, I will come, swifter, O my love, than a trembling forest deer or a panting dove, swifter than a snake that flies to the charmer's thrall. If you call me, I will come, fearless what befall. If you call me, I will come, swifter than desire, swifter than the lightning's feet, shod with plumes of fire. Life's dark tides may roll between, or death's deep chasms divide. If you call me, I will come, fearless what betide. I have to stop myself from grinning like an absolute idiot every time I read this poem, because it leaves me with such a high of emotion, inspired emotion. And I would like to take you to how this poem actually does that. The first way happens to be imagery, because you see the trembling forest deer, the panting dove, the snake flying to the charmer's thrall, lightning's feet, plumes of fire, rolling tides chasms dividing. There is so much you can see in this poem, which makes you feel so much. Now, the second way that it does that, now since our theme is numbers and maths and their narrative, I'm going to sidle into a little bit of mathematics over here. And we have the fact that every single line in this poem has an odd number of syllables. English has a pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables, which means that some syllables take a bit longer to pronounce and some syllables are quicker, essentially. Now, this poem follows a metric pattern of a stressed syllable, that is a longer syllable or a heavier syllable, being followed by a lighter, quicker syllable, which is what we call the trochee meter. The most interesting part is that every line begins and ends with a stressed syllable, which means that the tempo of the poem keeps rising and rising and rising with every single line. For example, if you call me, I will come, swifter, O my love, than a trembling forest deer or a panting dove. You see how it keeps rising and rising, and at the end it leaves you with this heightened climax of devotion, love, and everything else that this poem stands for, and leaves you with this message of courage that you can choose to live for your beloved. And that was what I had for this poem. The next one is equally dear to me, if not more, and it is by Dushyant Kumar. Dushyant Kumar was one of the most prominent poets of India in Hindi, writing in the ghazal format. And this poem of his that I've selected today was first published in 1975 in his collection titled Sai Mein Dhoop, literally meaning sunlight or heat under shade. And this poem speaks of the pain that is inflicted on people in situations of social distress and the dissatisfaction that they experience in those circumstances and how they choose to defy it, how they choose to believe and stand against it. And he primarily, one recurring theme in his work happened to be the post-independence dissatisfaction with the state of things that he experienced. And I think that this theme is so relevant to the times we're living in because we are living in a world fraught with pain. All we need to do is to look around and see the distress people are facing. So this poem cuts across all geography, ethnicity, and communities. It's pretty much evergreen. And I hope this poem lights a fire somewhere in you because it's quite aptly titled Aag Jalni Chahiye. I've managed to procure an Urdu version as well, so pat on the back to me. And I'm going to read it out. हो गई है पीर पर्वत सी पिघलनी चाहिए, इस हिमालय से कोई गंगा निकलनी चाहिए। आज यह दीवार पर्दों की तरह हिलने लगी, शर्त लेकिन थी कि ये बुनियाद हिलनी चाहिए। हर सड़क पर, हर गली में, हर नगर, हर गांव में हाथ लहराते हुए हर लाश चलनी चाहिए। सिर्फ हंगामा खड़ा करना मेरा मकसद नहीं, सिर्फ हंगामा खड़ा करना मेरा मकसद नहीं, सारी कोशिश है कि ये सूरत बदलनी चाहिए। मेरे सीने में नहीं तो तेरे सीने में सही, हो कहीं भी आग लेकिन आग जलनी चाहिए। This is a poem that is very dear to me, and I find myself speechless every time when I am supposed to speak about it, because no amount of words can do any kind of justice to the truth and the force that this poem has. And though most of us have probably understood this poem, I have a translation coming up as well. The thing is that this translation was done by me. So all discrepancies, inefficiencies, deficiencies, everything are mine alone. And I hope it measures up even like this much to the original. So here we go. A fire must wake. Melting is due of this Everest-like ache. A Ganga is due from this Himalayan make. This day, these walls are trembling like curtains, but our condition was that the foundation must shake. On each road, in each alley, each city, each village, hands up, arms swinging, these corpses must rake. No, I never intended to just make a scene. No, I never intended to just make a scene. All my effort is that these facades must break. If not in my heart, if not in mine, so be it in yours. Wherever it may blaze, a fire must wake. And these two poems that I've presented happen to be so different, but there is this subtle connecting thread in both of them, which happens to be defiance, which happens to be courage. The courage that we choose to live when we are faced with something that we cannot submit to and cannot and do not want to surrender to. And this striving, this defiance is what is essentially the spirit of life to me, because to strive is to live. And that is how these two poems are connected to me. And I hope you enjoyed them. Thank you so much.
That was absolutely incredible. Incredible. Thank you so much, Srijita. And I loved how you had woven the theme into your interpretive reading segment. And in fact, that was the very next segment that I was to bring up. You explained it so very well. Let's just take a pause to let the spell of those words and emotions wash over us and let the message sink in. Right. Now, if I may know that, if I may have Toastmaster Gule Zera, is she with us for our book review? All right. Meanwhile, let's give her a bit of leverage and let's give her a bit of time to join in. So this was in fact something that, yes, the very next thing that I was going to discuss was in fact the iambic pentameter. And it is very famously, it has been very famously employed in the very famous Shakespeare Sonnet 18. Sonnets, as you know, have their own structure. They have to be of 14 lines only. And this is one of the most widely read and most beloved poems in the English language, and also one of the best written poems in the English language. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometimes too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed, and every fair from fair sometime declines, by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou owest, nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade, when in eternal lines to time thou growest. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives my love, and this gives life to thee. And as you can see, we have been cast into the same spell that Srijita just put us under. And there is something to it. There's something about the rhythm. There is something about the way this poem has been written. And it comes to our knowledge, as our worthy Toastmaster already explained, that it is the number of syllables that are available, that have been written in each sentence. So in iambic pentameter, there are 10 syllables per line. And as Srijita explained, there is an unstressed syllable followed by a stressed syllable. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Now, what effect does this have on our inner rhythm? The iambic pentameter creates a natural heartbeat-like rhythm, making it instinctively pleasing. And the rhyme scheme is also symmetrical and resolves with a rhyming couplet. And this gives it a sense of closure, almost like the literary equivalent of completing a mathematical proof. Now, we won't get into the rhyme schemes here because that is a subject in its own. A, B, A, B, C, D, C, D, E, F, E, F, G, G. Literature teacher can explain that better. But we see these kind of structures in several other great poems written by the wondrous poets of the classical and the romantic ages. For example, Keats, To Autumn. Now, this poem also has 3 stanzas of 11 lines each. There is a structure, and the 3 stanzas mirror the tripartite structure of autumn, which is early autumn, middle autumn, and late autumn. Every stanza also follows a consistent ABAB rhyme scheme for the first 4 lines, and then it transitions to a more intricate CDE pattern in the final 7 lines. So let's leave that for now. That's for our next meeting, where we'll get into rhyme schemes and so on. And then we have Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven, where again, it has been introduced, the trochaic octameter. And Poe also uses repetition and sound to create this atmosphere. And it's almost as if there is a tap, tap, tap in the way that poem is read that creates this haunting feeling long after we have read the poem. For example, if I may demonstrate, yes, so Edgar Allan Poe goes, the first stanza. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. Only this, and nothing more. And once again, we find ourselves drawn in by the musical quality, almost a chant-like rhythm that pulls the reader into the mysterious world. Once upon the stressed, unstressed syllables, a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary. The alternation of stress, as I mentioned, it mimics the ticking of a clock, tick, tick, tick. And the refrain of nevermore, the repetition of it at the end of several stanzas also recurs, bringing in symmetry and rhetorical symmetry that also creates a sense of the sense of mystery and the sense of fear. Now, there are several other structures available in the world of poetry. There's the haiku, the limericks, the quatrain, or the rubaiyat that we know of in Arabic and Urdu. So a very simple example of haiku, what does this do? In haiku, every line has to have a specific set of syllables. The first line must have, it has a 3-line poem, the first line must have 5 syllables, the second must have 7 syllables, and the last, again, 5 syllables. So we have a palindromic symmetry there as well. And this not only helps the writer economize the use of language because we have to say more in less, it also pushes the creativity to allow us to express ourselves in this small format of merely 3 lines. Sunrise comes like paint, pinks and blues, water hues, smudging out the night. There's something to be said for brevity. I believe it was Shakespeare, if someone can correct me, that brevity is the soul of wit, and this is amply demonstrated by the haiku. Now, before we move on to literary numerology, if our book reviewer is not here, then I believe we can go on to the Let's Word It segment that is being hosted by Toastmaster Aarti, if you are ready.
I am ready, but are our speakers ready?
Ah, good point. Well, let me apprise everyone that according to our agenda, the time indeed is up. So we have, in fact, given all the time that we promised, and we should be able to hear from our first volunteer as they rose to the challenge, and then we can carry on as the names progress.
So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. The TMOD has spoken. And just to give everyone a quick refresher, the topic for today was that you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. And now we are going to hear from our 5 speakers on their take for this. So number 1, I would like to invite our first speaker, Toastmaster Isa, to present her piece. Can we have a huge round of applause, please?
Okay. You can hear me, right?
Crystal clear.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Keeping in line with what Steve Jobs said, which happens to be our Let's Word It topic today, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them going backward. Looking backward, sorry. This idea immediately resonated with me. As many people here today, my journey has been anything but a straight line. As a small child, right at the start of my education, I developed a stutter. And suddenly, Dorothy's yellow brick road turned into an unsurmountable mountain with no clear path. Yet, by some twist of fate, I overcame it, even though I would have been a little too young to remember this moment, as the principal vividly called my name for first prize at a speech for patriotism as I was 6 years old. Even then, this moment should have been disconnected from my struggle because it doesn't really connect. But to me, this proved that sometimes our challenges are rooted right in our challenges plant the seed of our greatest strength. Fast forward, the victory is now anything but a mere memory with pictures and videos to prove. I am now a pre-med student doing my O-levels, sitting in the silent library that I adored the most. But all of a sudden, the nonfiction section from that little corner started calling my name. Somewhere in between playing in my grandfather's law firm and talking and chatting to him, to newspaper cuttings from my father and endless book recommendations and discussions, I developed a love for law and international relations. A subject which seems unrelated, biology and international relations. Biology, for what I thought was meant to be for me, teaching me structure, observation, and analytical skills that now sit seamlessly in my understanding of legal systems and justice and judiciary. What I've learned in these experiences in life, they don't always make sense. We often face challenges in life that put us in detours and moments of doubt. So for everyone here, let me ask you this. Have you ever looked back on a little moment of your life, a challenge, maybe a failure, maybe even a chance encounter with someone that you never would have met anyways, and realized it was leading you to somewhere important? Maybe it was a job you didn't get, or only you found another opportunity later, or a person you met who changed your perspective in ways you never expected. Think about those moments. Did they shape the path you're on today? Truth is, we don't always see the connections in the moment. Life often feels like a series of random dots, kind of like a Christopher Nolan movie. But when we take the time to reflect, those dots begin to form a picture of growth, of resilience, and of purpose. So to everyone here today, trust your journey. Even if the dots don't seem to connect right now, one day they will. You take my word for it. And when they do, you will see that every single struggle, every success, every unexpected twist was leading you to something greater. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Isa. I think there was so much going on here, but Toastmaster Isa truly captured the essence of the phrase. From using the structure, like knowledge is never wasted, and from using the structure, the knowledge of structure that she understood from anatomy into international law and applying it in her day-to-day life. I think this is just incredible how you shared your vulnerable stories with us. I think one line that especially stood out to me from your entire work was how our challenges plant the seed of our greatest strength. Let's take a moment for that to sink in. I think that's just incredible. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Isa. We'll now move on to our next speaker for today, Toastmaster Joane. The stage is yours. Are you ready? I don't see you.
Yes, I'm ready. I just want to know what's the timing given, like
3 to 5 minutes.
Okay. It was black, coarse, small, and insignificant. So I crushed it into the mud and simply walked away. Years later, I returned to find a thriving tree, blooming with fragrant flowers and the promise of a life-sustaining fruit. It was my first encounter with life's unpredictable beauty. A discarded seed transforming into a symbol of abundance. I would have never known as a child. While climbing the steep slopes of Dauladhar Mountains, I stopped to pause for a breath. And you look at me, you know I need several breaths to climb the mountain with my size. And then I noticed a trickling stream. Unassuming at first, it later joined tributaries and became a mighty river, powering hydroelectric projects and lighting up thousands of village homes in Dharamkot. I would have never imagined the potential in a mere trickle. I'm not a proponent of serendipity, nor a believer in meet cutes. But I met a girl with curly hair in a Toastmaster meeting once. For an introvert like me, her warm approach at first felt like a dangerous blazing sun. Truly it did. But her wit, intelligence, and compassion won me over. She sidled into my life and became a cherished friend who has changed me in many ways. I would have never known a quirky phone call one evening with this girl would become a lifelong cherished relationship. Reflecting on the moments, I have realized life isn't something that can be predicted, achieved, or even conquered. Life makes no sense in present. As it unfolds, it asks for a deep faith beyond human comprehension. Faith that it will all come together, it'll flourish like the seed, it'll flow endlessly and light up many hearts and homes like the river, and it'll add magic to your life in the form of a curly-haired girl, a dear friend. Someone once told me very recently, life isn't a set of goals, Joanne, it's a discovery. And as you discover yourself, your life, take a pause and look back. Colors on the canvas will start making sense then. And aren't all our epics and great fictions symbols of this eternal truth? Whether it's Harry Potter, who never knew he was moving forward to his death, or Frodo Baggins, who simply wanted an adventure, but never knew he would carry the fate of the Middle Earth. The journeys only made sense to them in retrospect. To be honest, I have stopped looking forward and backward. I have no control over the future, nor can I see where the path leads. And I have a very simple faith that the past will make sense. So now I simply embrace the now, living fully in the present, just being in the moment, taking decisions with the information that I have in hand, and trusting that when I look back someday, the dots will connect and it will all make sense to me. Thank you, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Joanne. Spoken like a true professional. I see you must be really good at your job because this piece was incredible. Chance encounters is so beautiful. We meet some people and then they just change our life. And it's incredible that we can't even imagine where we would be without them. So I really loved your take to this topic. I loved the details, the imagery that you provided us with in your writing. And in your entire piece, I think there was this one simple line that really stood out to me, and that was, life is a journey of discovery. And in the end, we can only have faith, live in the present, and hope that things work out for the best. I think it took me, I'm still figuring this out in my life. We are often tempted to want to control everything, but Toastmaster Joanne's take shows us that sometimes you just need to sit back, have faith, and you will meet wonderful people along the way, and everything will be okay. So once again, a huge round of applause for Toastmaster Joanne. Thank you. We'll move on to our next speaker, Toastmaster Fahim. Is he here? Are you here with us, Toastmaster Fahim? I
I
don't see
think he
him.
did a disappearing
Zoom
act.
Master, can you?
I think he did a disappearing act. We'll move to the
Okay,
next one. He may sign in
let's
back.
do that then. All right, let's do that then. Our next speaker is Toastmaster Azma. Is she here?
Yes,
She's here.
I'm
I see
here.
her. Hello, Toastmaster Azma. Over to you.
Thank you. I'll start from my favorite song. Far, far away on the edge of the world, lost in dreams, out of time, out of place. Where are they now? All the ghosts from your past, lost in dreams, out of where they go. Dear Toastmasters and guests, good afternoon. I was just thinking what I'll be saying if I have to connect the dots. Okay. I'm sure most of you are professionals. Isa is doing studies, but somehow she must be having the idea that when you are at the beginning of the career or you are at the middle of the career, or no one will be here who will be at the end of the career. Like what Isa said, everything was a straight line. I was the achiever from the beginning, at school, at college, everywhere. I stood out. Irrespective of the situations I was facing, I struggled a lot, I worked hard, and I stood up. Then I took the challenge of CA. It was good at the beginning. And in the CA qualification, you have to do the internship, what is called articleship. I got the articleship in one of the big 4 firms. Then what happened? There were times when everybody was struggling to, okay, I should be got the chance, I should have the chance to go out of the country. So I got the opportunity. I went to Kuwait, Dubai 3 times, all good. Then there were financial crisis, the financial bust. When everyone was getting opportunities in Middle East, in our time, there were opportunities, but every opportunity had a problem of work pressure. Why? Because the cost cutting started. So I decided, okay, Asma, don't think about it, stay in Pakistan. I applied here, and fortunately, I didn't go for many interviews. In my second interview, I got the opportunity and I got it. So I was blessed. What happened was, I was there for 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and it was my comfort zone. I spent a decade at my place. But I was not as blessed as Sadia. Why? Because the organization was like a semi-government organization and they had their policies. Okay, we will not be promoting after 3 years and they will be taking time. And what happened? In 10 years, I just got 2 promotions. Then I started of thinking about others, that they are getting big salaries, they are having promotions and everything, and why I'm here. So I started applying for a job. And you know what happened? In my first interview at a place, there were an entrepreneur who interviewed me from USA, but he had the setup in Pakistan. And you know, he reprimanded me for being at a job for this long. He said, you are nothing. If you have spent 10 years in an organization and you're not having a promotion, it means you are useless. I cannot, he didn't say the word that he cannot appoint me, but he crushed my motivation or my, what I can say, other things that I was struggling, and I was thinking, I will go for a job. After that interview, my confidence shattered. But you know what I did? Instead of taking into my heart, I focused on what was lacking. I worked hard, upskilled and myself. I took a step back. Like it is said, when you have to be successful, you have to take the challenge and you have to sit back and think about and plan. After a year, I was able to get an opportunity and change the job. I changed my field, I changed the department, everything. I am financially better off than the previous place, but now I think that if that person had not scolded me, I wouldn't left my comfort zone. And it made all sense now that you'll have to connect the dot, not looking forward, but looking back. So this is all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Azma. Friends, Azma's story was a story of raw vulnerability and also of optimism. Toastmaster Azma, I've got to give it to you for having such an optimistic perspective of life because it's not easy. How many of us must have been in a similar situation where, especially when you come from a very highly accomplished background, where things were always going in your favor, and then suddenly having a phase of a decade-long stagnation and realizing that now it's time for change, and that realization doesn't come easy. But for you to look back on that, drawing the dots and make such a connection is an incredible feat to you. So Toastmasters, can we please have a round of applause for Toastmaster Azma and her dedication? Thank you. With this, we will move on to our last speaker for today, that is Toastmaster Shakil. Shakil, am I pronouncing your name right?
Yeah, it's Shakil. Yeah, you are good to go.
Shakil.
Shakil.
Shakil, perfect.
Shakil.
Shakil, the stage is yours.
Where's the timer window? Okay, okay, got it. You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. What a quotation Steve Jobs gave to us. After dropping from his college, he started learning calligraphy. And calligraphy really learned him to make the logo of the Macintosh for the first time. So, the problem is whenever we are having a situation to take any decision, we just look forward for the choices we have in front of us. We go to the hearsay approach. Like that, you can say, like my friend told me, I am earning a lot as a freelancer. I say to myself, I should go for it. Another friend tells me, well, chartered accountants make money. Be a professional accountant. You will be wealthy, a millionaire within 2 to 3 years. I tend to say to myself, okay, let's go with it. The important thing for all of us is that we should not all look towards to the hearsay of what we see in front of us. We should also reflect backward. Looking backward, I would call, we should have inner soul, inner searching within us. I call it forward looking, like the world you see, the external factors, and looking backward, looking towards yourself. Listening to your inner self, what you want to be in the future. You have to take risks all the time to have achieved something wonderful in your life. Without taking a single risk, you can't move forward. Let me tell you a little story of myself as well. I started my career as a professional accountant. I was going along like that way for maybe you can say from 2003 till 2019. It was the 16 years all and go. You can say having routines, working in multinationals in the energy sector, so and so. In the year 2019, I got an opportunity. Can you conduct a training on Microsoft Excel? There was something within myself I want to teach. I love teaching. I got some opportunities within my organizations to go for the teaching, like you can say any topic, have presentation of half an hour, 1 hour and so. But in the year 2019, when I got an opportunity from my institute, the Institute of Cost and Management Accountants of Pakistan, I just raised my hand. Yes, I will do it. It was out of my comfort zone. It was nearby the city of Hyderabad. It's a 2 hours drive from Karachi. So people usually tend to ignore such opportunities, that who will go like their 2.5 hours drive. I raised my hand. I said to myself, let's challenge yourself. I made the presentation, the handout, so and so, and said one thing to myself: do it differently than the world tends to do. Make it an interactive session. Because Microsoft Excel or any Office thing is a dry thing. I used to bring it the quiz in between to have some introduction. Tell something about the life lessons I have learned during the training as well. The result was astonishing, because that opportunity landed me towards better opportunities later in the years to come. I tend to deliver and grow as well. Then I got this exciting platform last year of Toastmasters. Believe me, that transformed me not only professionally in my career as well, but my life as a trainer as well. I tend to know where I was wrong. So it's really better, I would recall once again, just do. You can take advices from the whole world, looking forward for connecting the dots. But do listen backward within yourself. Do listen to your soul, what it says to you. Because 9 to 5 job anywhere can't feed your soul. You will be having demotivation issues on and off. If you don't have a luxury to have a passion for your career, you can say that passion of your career, you should go and listen to yourself. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Shakil, sorry. Toastmaster Shakil. I think Toastmaster Shakil just really hit the nerve there by highlighting something really important that happens in our society in general. How we chase after hearsay and FOMO. Of course, we want to go for the next big thing, but to look back at your own journey and at your inner self is what makes unique people stand apart, and it takes you away from the crowd. Um, One line that I especially liked from his entire piece was that do it differently than the world tends to do it. He used his creativity, and this reminded me of a song that perhaps a pop culture song, perhaps we all have heard, of Selena Gomez. It goes like, it's been sentenced, every beautiful song has been already sung. Well, every love song has already been sung, but we still keep making new ones. Why? Because it's your creativity, your soul, and no two people do it the same way, even if it's the same concept. So that, and another line that really stood out to me from Toastmaster Shakil's piece was, don't listen to the world, listen to your soul. What an incredible line that was. And let's please take a moment to let this sink into. It's underrated, but it's very important. So once again, let's have a round of applause for all our speakers today who took the courage to come and present their piece to us. What's incredible is how everyone had a different perspective. The topic was the same, but in the four speakers that we heard today, no one had the same takeaways, and no one had the same perspective. And I think that's the beauty, and that's also what Toastmaster Shakil was trying to present to us. So thank you so much for joining us, and I hope I see these as polished pieces for your next speeches. And who knows, this might be your next crescendo or your next eloquent speech, like it happened for Toastmaster Mehr. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That was my time. And Toastmaster Mehr, back to you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Aarti. That was very well conducted, and what a lovely array and myriad of stories that we heard from each of our esteemed speakers. The poll has been set up. Please take a minute to vote for your favorite speaker and writer. Of course, they're all wonderful storytellers and all wonderful philosophers in their own right and their own merit.
I can't see the poll. Can you please raise it again?
Yes. Check again.
Thank
All right. Okay. Our next segment before we move on to the general evaluation, our book reviewer is here with us. And so without further ado, I would like to hand over the stage to Toastmaster Gule Zehra. Toastmaster Gule Zehra joined Toastmasters in 2002. Her favorite number is 6, the graceful 6, the hexagon from the honeycombs, and the graceful snowflake. 6 also being the beautiful sum and product of the first 3 numbers, and its factors also being just 1, 2, and 3. 1 into 2 into 3 being 6, and 1 plus 2 plus 3 also being 6, only having those 3 factors, and therefore it is the first perfect number. The perfect number for the perfect person with the perfect book review, Toastmaster Gule Zehra.
Thank you, Toastmaster Mehr. Joining in 2002 makes me kind of the oldest member and the senior most in Toastmasters, I believe. And अल्लाह आपको आसानियाँ अता फरमाए और आसानियाँ तकसीम करने का शर्फ अता फरमाए. May God grant you ease and the honor to create ease for others. The book Sadia consists of 47 chapters, and except for a few, almost every chapter ends with this prayer. And to review Zawiya is like trying to fit an entire ocean into a bone china teacup. Zawiya can be considered Ashfaq Ahmed's magnum opus. Those of you who are aware of Urdu literature would know that Zawiya is ranked a classic and exists in the already read list of bibliophiles in Pakistan. When I recently picked up the book, I didn't know that it's named after a TV program. It was hosted by Ashfaq Ahmed, and as an attempt to bridge the growing gaps between people in an era of advancing technology. What does Zawiya mean? It literally means angle or perspective, and so I thought. But while it does mean that, the book really refers to the gatherings of or spiritual retreats of earlier times, where there would be an elder, a Babaji, who would ease the burden of those carrying the weight of their worries alone. People would come to them, unburden their heart, and find solace. Such gatherings were called Zawiya in West Africa, Algeria, and Tunisia. Now, Zawiya is not a conventional narrative, but a compilation of reflective essays and excerpts from Ashfaq Ahmed's radio and television programs. Each piece is a Zawiya or perspective on life, spirituality, relationships, and the human journey. From the mundane to the metaphysical, the author draws on personal experiences, Sufi wisdom, and the universal truths to weave a tapestry of insights and profound knowledge. The themes range from the value of selflessness to the art of dealing with adversity, all delivered in a conversational tone. Through Zawiya, the author addresses existential dilemmas with an unwavering faith in the goodness of human nature. His writing is less about providing answers and more about encouraging readers to introspect. For instance, during a seminar, a speaker who was a learned individual says that I am a man of esteem due to Pakistan. And the Baba, who is the spiritual mentor of Ashfaq Ahmed sitting in the audience, says that don't say such things on stage. He doesn't like it. And he instructs his mentees not to repeat such words because it can embarrass the audience sitting, people sitting in the audience. Why? Because anyone can think, hey, why I didn't utilize this time and become a great man, and I'm not a great man, while this person standing in front of me, he's great. This instantly reminded me of Toastmasters.
Okay, it seems that we have lost Toastmaster Gulizera there. She was trying to join in from her mobile. She did inform that her signals were a bit low in strength. That's why we lost her early on. Had a late induction. All right. So continuing with the theme until she comes back. Our final topic of the day, from the vast, vast expanse and universe of maths and literature, literary numerology. Of course, as we have witnessed so far in the discussion that we have had today, numbers have shown up in various symbolic and metaphorical ways in all the stories, narrations, and books that we have discussed. The number 7, for example, as we discussed, the 7 liberal arts that mark perfection, completion, or spiritual significance. Further examples include the 7 deadly sins in Milton's Paradise Lost, the 7 days of creation in the biblical account of Genesis, and the 7 ages of man in William Shakespeare's As You Like It. The number 3 is often associated with unity, balance, or the Trinity. For example, the 3-act structure in many plays and stories, or in J.R.R. Tolkien's saga, the number 3 is frequently used to symbolize the goodness amongst the characters. For example, the 3 members of the Fellowship of the Ring, Frodo, Sam, and Aragorn, the 3 ages of Middle-earth, Elder Days, Middle Days, and the End of Days, the 3 jewels created by Fëanor. The number 7 is also used by Tolkien quite frequently. For example, the 7 fathers of the dwarves, the 7 members of the Council of the Wise, and the number 9 is also seen symbolizing humanitarian pursuits. For example, the 9 members of the Fellowship of the Ring, or the 9 rings of power given to the human kings, or the 9 angelic beings in Tolkien's mythology. 3 is taken from Christian theology, while 7 is also deduced from Christian and Islamic theology. Of course, in J.R. Tolkien's case, it is a reference to the Christian theology of the 7 days of completion of creation, while the number 9 represents his love of Norse and Celtic mythology. Literary numerology can be seen in several other storybooks and narratives, very famous ones. For example, as we were discussing the other day, Dan Brown, the use of the number 13, which represents the members of the secret council, as well as, which is a symmetrical reflection of the 13 attendees of the Last Supper, where Jesus Christ had his final supper with his 12 disciples. Literary numerology is also present in the holy books, in religious books. For example, the Bhagavad Gita, where 18 there are 18 chapters in the Gita and 18 days in the Kurukshetra war, if I pronounce it correctly, 18 divisions of the Pandavas and the Kauravas armies, and it symbolizes completion and the moral struggle. Numbers like 108, which have the same symbols of 1 and 8, they also feature in chants and meditative practices in Hinduism. While in the Holy Quran, 1 signifies, of course, the oneness of Allah. 7 recurs in multiple contexts, the 7 heavens, the 7 verses in Surah Al-Fatiha. 40 represents in the Bible and in the Holy Quran the maturity, the age of maturity when the Prophet Muhammad received his first revelation, and the 40 days of fasting by Moses. Some scholars also note mathematical patterns in the Quran, such as the repetition of the word day 365 times, miraculously. Apparently, the number 19 is also a hidden code in the Quran, where it is where the Quranic opening formula, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, which opens most of the surahs of the Quran except for 1, consists of exactly 19 letters. The word frequencies of Allah, which appears 2,698 times, Rahman, which appears 57 times, and Rahim, which appears 114 times, Rahman and Rahim meaning the merciful and the most compassionate, all are multiples of 19, a prime number. Also, the chapters of the Quran are 114 chapters, which is, of course, again, 19 times 6. The words life and death, al-hayat, life, and al-maut, death, they both appear equally in symmetry 145 times, while the words earth and water, bahr and bar, or earth, they appear 32 and 13 times respectively, which corresponds to the approximate percentage of water, 71.1%, and earth, 28.8% on our planet. So these amazing magical numbers that reflect so much more than we take for granted actually reveal a hidden curriculum, as we say in the education sector, hidden meanings and symbolisms. And we can go on discussing them for the rest of the day, possibly. Shakespeare, George Orwell's 1984, Homer's Iliad and Odyssey, structured into 24 books, which echo the Greek alphabet. 1001 Nights, another example of recursive or nested storytelling, where each story starts the beginning of the end of what each story is the beginning of the next story, and the plots and characters are intertwining like the branches of a tree. And the number 1001, symbolic of infinity and continuation. Moby Dick also uses 40, the biblical reference, and 3 as well. So what does this mean for us? It stands to reason that math and literature are in fact two reflections of the same body of knowledge. And can we not say that perhaps the artist is in fact the vehicle or the medium who is trying to achieve the order and the harmony that this universe represents through his medium of art, through writing, through poetry, through painting, through even other forms of art and even architecture, to find that order within, to find some peace of the chaos within from the peace of the cosmos without. Perhaps it is that endeavor to quiet the fire inside that we seek to harmonize and to harmonize with the environment around us, with the universe. And we subscribe to the eternal, the timeless, and the universal principles of math and number, a concept that is as old as the keeping of time. With that, I feel that our book reviewer has not returned, so we shall hand over the stage to our...
I have returned. Can you see?
Oh, there you are. I'm so sorry. All right. And we hand over to Toastmaster Gulizera to complete her review, after which we will start the general evaluation.
Okay, sorry for the disruption. My internet is not good today. Can you tell me, have you heard the book review till the point where I was including an example, for instance, during a seminar?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and you can continue from there, yeah.
Okay, for instance, during a seminar, the speaker on the podium said that he was a learned individual, and he said that I am a man of esteem due to Pakistan. Now, the Baba, who was actually a spiritual mentor of Ashfaq Ahmed, he was sitting in the audience and he didn't like it. Then he kind of expressed it to his mentees not to use such words that embarrass the people in the audience. Because anyone can think, hey, why I didn't utilize the time and become a great man? While this person standing in front of me, wow, he's a great man. So this instantly reminded me of Toastmasters and the culture we have here of inspiring rather than influencing or embarrassing others. Then I was also reminded of the habits prevalent these days, the way we change our WhatsApp status or DP. While we may do it for sharing our happiness with others, but who knows, the one watching our status is in grief, and seeing that picture of meal or a happy smile, it may make them more grievous and starkly aware of their own misery. This led me to question the consumerism system that is flourishing on the not so human instinct to show off and embarrass others. What about the influencers and ambassadors getting all the opportunities majorly because of the image they project into the world, hence adding to the feeling of insufficiency and striving for more, and redefining what makes up human dignity or esteem in the process? Who will check that? And will people who don't follow the norms around using social media platforms will fall out of the game if they don't use such tactics, just like Nokia did? So how can we make such lessons, not harping about yourself and respecting others' dignity, especially with economic backdrop, compatible in our today's life? This needs contemplation. The book's conversational style makes it feel timeless, yet deeply personal. And the language is simple as well, except at points, the writer used the word istihqaq, and I'm wondering, what is istihqaq? And do I have istihqaq? And then I ask my colleagues, and they tell me what it means. I come up with its English word that is prerogative, and so the reading continues with istihqaq and the like. It's also funny at points, like once the author, that is Mr. Ashfaq, he visits the house of an Italian actress, and her two kids are so rude and mischievous that they don't let him eat anything. And the actress doesn't stop them. But when she leaves to take a call from her husband, he uses Punjabi curse words to scare them. And after that, they let him eat in peace. So much so that the actress says, "Didn't I tell you? It's not good to stop a kid from doing mischief. See how their behavior has evolved into goodness over time." One thing the writer repeatedly mentioned is Babaji. Now, who is a Babaji or a Baba? One attribute of Baba is anyone who creates ease for others. And I see many Babe at WordWise Advanced Toastmasters. One of them is Mehrunisa. And over time, Ashfaq Ahmed became famous as Baba himself. In order to gauge his fame, he once wrote a letter to himself, and in the address section simply wrote, Ashfaq Ahmed, the famous writer, Lahore. Now he received back this envelope after 3 days by post, stamped from different cities. He was overjoyed, but after a month, he received an envelope with the title, To Ashfaq Ahmed, the nonsensical broadcaster, with no city name, and he received the letter from Pindi to Lahore in the same day. He mentioned this incident in his book Zawiya to humbly narrate that universe sends us echoes to keep our ego in check and to keep our eyes directed on the path. Overall, Ashfaq Ahmed, his words serve as a gentle nudge to realign one's priorities and embrace life's unpredictability with grace. Something about the author that he was a Pakistani writer, playwright, and broadcaster who was born in India in 1925 and he died in Pakistan in 2004 at the age of 79. He worked for Pakistani television and radio. He received many awards like Pride of Performance and Sitara Imtiaz, and he married Banu Kutsia, who was also a writer. And between the two of them, there happened to be well over 60 titles. And they wrote short plays and countless radio scripts, as well as books and novels. As such, Ashfaq Ahmed is not beyond the odd controversy that people with commitment face when they share their own ideology with the public. And I have read quite a critique to his work, both online and both in my personal circle as well. The famous English columnist Mr. Khalid Hassan wrote that following about Ashfaq that during General Ziaul Haq's rule, he came under fire as he came to be seen by many as being supportive of military rule. What lent its strength was his constant advocacy through his radio and television programs that included Zawiya, of the message that everything that happened to the man was the will of God, and it was not right that it should be questioned. His critiques and those who were struggling against the ferocious military rule of Zulfikar Ali, they saw Ashfaq's philosophy as a blatant effort to divert criticism of the regime. If acceptance of whatever happened was what God wanted to be and what God wanted man to do, then there could never be change or revolution. Ashfaq's view seemed to be that one should leave it to God to do justice. In other words, if Zia was unjust, the people should leave the matter in the hands of God. Again, there are many podcasts and columns existing on this as well. And one was How Books Shape Us, from Shahab to Umaira. It's done by Sayyid Mehdi Bukhari on YouTube, and it talks about Qudratullah Shahab's book, who was also a close friend of Ashfaq Ahmed. This was actually a trio of friends, Qudratullah Shahab, Mumtaz Mufti, and Mr. Ashfaq Ahmed. So last night, I asked my mother, did she recall watching Zawiya on TV? She said, no, we were given very limited time to watch TV at that time during the 70s and 80s. And Zawiya was kind of a bore, so we didn't watch it. And a friend of mine said about it that these babe, they did whatever in their youth, and then they turned kind of Allah wale towards the end of their life. Again, when I was reading it in sitting on a sidewalk in Islamabad, I find it kind of a difficult read because you cannot read it with a preoccupied mindset. You need to have a very peaceful, rhythmic thoughts to get into touch with what the writer wants to convey. On a lighter note, I borrowed this book from someone at workplace, and it belongs to her sister. When I opened the book, it's marked 4 September 2004, and a wedding card that some dates that mean to the owner of the book. Her Zawiya, guarded by Zawiya itself over 2 decades. Personally, I feel Zawiya is not just a book. It's like exploring the trajectories of my own thoughts. because it's like a companion for life's journey, offering solace, guidance, and moments of profound introspection. As Ashfaq Ahmed reminds us, change your perspective and you change your world. Like today, when I was on the morning walk, I saw the dust coating the wild plants along the road. And I kind of viewed it not as the dust coating, but as the earth color or clay color paint the artist had painted over the plants. And I was rejoicing because otherwise it was kind of uncontrollable and it was completely out of my control. I know it would have made me a lot kind of sad because one can't do things, one can't control such things, dust over plants just because of too much dust on road and the like. So I wholeheartedly recommend this book to anyone yearning for spiritual growth or a deeper understanding of life's intricacies. Read it slowly, savor it deeply, and let its wisdom shape your own Zadia. May God grant you ease and the honor to create ease for others. Over to you, Toastmaster of today.
Thank you, Toastmaster Gulezera. Read it slowly, savor it, and may it guide our paths. Very well said indeed. And with that, I hand over the virtual gavel to our general evaluator of the day, Toastmaster Cyril Paul.
Thank you so very much, Toastmaster Mehr. We're running ridiculously beyond the meeting timeline, so let's quickly call on everyone. Feedback is a mirror that we hold against ourselves so that we can practice and improve our craft. And general evaluation is that segment of the meeting where we review and we evaluate every segment of the meeting. We provide feedback to everyone who participated. Assisting me as a general evaluator today are, Toastmaster Rijita, I see your hand.
Toastmaster Joane has another meeting at 3 p.m. So if it's possible, can we have her evaluation?
Jumping into it. Yes. Yeah, all right. Assisting me today would be a panel of evaluators. Let's have Toastmaster Joane going first. She shall be evaluating Toastmaster Talha. The timeline would be 2 to 3 minutes. You know the drill. Go for it, Toastmaster Joane.
Thank you so much. And apologies for diving in middle. And it's so hard for me right now to evaluate you, Toastmaster Talha. I'll tell you why, because that book review was mesmerizing and I'm still in the Zavia mode right now. So let me try to do justice to you. DTM Talha, the devil on the road. And I'll tell you why the devil on the road is so important, that sentence. Yesterday, when I saw your title, I was intrigued. And that is a power of a title in a speech. It makes you think, what is he going to talk about? And from that moment to the moment you gave the speech, I was literally waiting for this speech to happen. So thank you. That was a very interesting title which you started. What I loved about your speech, the descriptive language that you used, the sweat, the signal, the crossroad, the way the car came, the desperation you had for that bike to start. I could feel it for some moments. I was on that crossroad. So that is beautiful use of language to describe a setting and a scene. And I loved that. This was really good. The flip that you brought in with the camera, that was a really nice trick. And the flip itself, the concept of you enacting both the characters in this story was interesting. And you know what I loved? The entire story, entire speech. You said sometimes we overreact to minor situations while we'll remain silent during major ones. That is a takeaway I'm going to take. Even though I'll tell you, you did not focus on that one much, but I loved that one point because it's so true about life. And overall, I'll tell you, the concept of road rage that you brought in and the purpose to enlighten and educate us that, okay, road rage is there. But question yourself and do some deep reflection on why this is happening rather than just reacting. I love the entire speech for that message. Now, what could have been done better? And I have a couple of recommendations. So the first thing I would recommend is the concept of narrator versus character. This was a storytelling with a proper setting. The first half of the speech was entirely you taking us into that story, right? I felt there was voice modulation, no doubt, but there has to be a narrator's voice and a character's voice. That distinction was not there. You were talking about the scene, then the dialogue came in, and this in that same way you went in for the car driver. Okay, because of that, the clarity is missing. This is not a movie. This is a story that you're saying. So the narrator versus character, the voice distinction needs to be there. Describe using the narrator's voice, the setting, then use a distinct different voice for your character and use dialogues so that there is a clarity in our mind that what is actually going on in the scene. So that is one, character versus narrator. Second is a conclusion. What was the exact conclusion that you were trying to give us? Is it like, don't overreact on minor situations, or is it deep self-reflection? So that conclusion was a little flat. I would have suggested, a conclusion like your title was The Devil on the Road. You could have maybe concluded in, the devil is actually inside us. So if you can tame the devil inside you, you can eliminate the devil on the road. Something like that, which ties back to the title and gives a proper message on what is the conclusion. And last one thing I'll tell you, that song. When you said hello darkness, my old friend, I wish you would have sang it in an eerie voice, because you were trying to make a point that how it feels when a migraine hits, right? You don't have to say anything. If you simply say, hello darkness, my old friend, that feeling of loneliness, pain, and suffering hits you. So that was a missed opportunity I felt. Overall, I'll tell you, I loved the entire speech, no doubt about that. The voice modulation, the desperation, and that one line of overreaction and being silent, it took my heart away. Think about a stronger conclusion, character versus narrator, and when you have an opportunity to sing, my dear friend, and that will make all the impact. Thank you, and back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you. Some wonderful and relevant points over there for TBH. Calling on the next evaluator, that will be Toastmaster Mohammed Asghar, who shall be evaluating Toastmaster Sadia.
Thank you, Journal Evaluator. I hope Toastmaster...
Audible and visible. Good to see you in a suit.
Okay, thank you, because I'm about to leave after fulfilling my duty. Toastmaster Sadia, power of words. We have heard and learned from your journey. Moving to Lahore, doing a different job, and then you faced a twist, your marriage. In the office, the provision period of your job, then the conditional confirmation, your frustration, then your father's response with encouraging words which ignited fire. Toastmaster Sadia, in fact, we all need this fire to move forward. We can't do without this fire. As earlier, one of our comrades said, "Oh, kahin bhi aag, lekin aag jalni chahiye." She was so right about it. And then your subsequent confirmation in the job, and then you faced another turbulence. Again, your father advice came to rescue you. And then ultimately you talked about your communication style, being direct, supportive, and initiations. But what I like most is the speech, your opening sentences of your speech were truly engaging. We were usually taught three things: to start your speech with a question, with a dramatic expression, and with a wow moment. You had all three in your speeches. Your dramatic expression about crazy combo, and the wow moment that you are still with the same job and same life partner after 2 decades. Secondly, the way you used the universal beloved symbol, your father, to push you forward. And that is quite relatable for all the participants. Last but not the least, building your stories from day-to-day experiences. And then the way you connect 3 or 4 different anecdotes and make them into a powerful conclusion, which is your theme, the power of words. And now let me see what you can do to take your speech from good to great. I think poking some fun at yourself or someone who is around you or something related to your point would have made your speech more attention-grabbing. Secondly, you could have discussed various style of the communication and allowed us to see all the styles which you have gone through in the pathway project, because this project is all about talking about your styles. But overall, thank you for your killer opening sentence and the various anecdotes. Just being aligned with the pathway statement and doing some fun things will do the job. Over to you, Journal Evaluator.
Thank you. Toastmaster Sadia, we normally give an additional level of feedback from the general evaluator as well. But today we have paucity of time. We'll catch up with you during the week and we'll give you some more feedback on taking your craft higher. Very quickly, moving on to the grammarian, that will be Toastmaster Asma for the grammarian's report.
I was so mesmerized with this language everyone used, and it was really great. I just wrote one sentence, and that was really good. And I really loved the sentence that although every sentence in the meeting was great, but I loved this is I'm not a proponent of serendipity. So it was great. And for the word of the day, cider, 3 people used it. Sujita once, Aiza once, and Joanna once. So that's all from my side. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. And TBH, I think both our evaluators overshot the timeline.
No, actually, only one did.
Okay, got it.
Toastmaster Asghar cleverly wound up at the last possible second, sadly.
Okay. Right. Wonderful. Let me quickly wind up with the general evaluation, in which case the meeting started 2 minutes late. Wonderful job by the SA in setting the scene and a sneaky introduction to himself as the acting presiding officer. The TMOD, hats off to the TMOD, Toastmaster Mehr Tanvir. I think she's the epitome of WordWise. She's wise with words, and today she showed that she's wise with numbers as well. I think this was more like a keynote which was packaged as a TMOD stint. This truly was a keynote, and do consider making this a keynote. Toastmaster Mehr, you're just playing to your strengths when you do this. The biggest jaw drop moment for me was the meaning of zero. The pebble example that you gave, when you take it away, there's nothing. I never knew that. Very quickly, we had TBH being multitasking as a timer and the Zoom master and a speaker. Grammarian did a great job. I think this is the first time that I'm seeing, rather I'm noticing that the word of the day is behind you as the screen background. Just one point, Toastmaster Asma, it's DTM Asma. It's always helpful for you to push the WTD in the chat and urge speakers to use it from time to time. Yeah, it's you need to make them a word wiser every day. Let's Word It segment. Toastmaster Aarti, you owned it as if you were living this role all your life. Couldn't have said that this is the first time that you're doing it. I mean, kudos to a job well done, right from selecting the topic to not finding speakers, finding speakers, then reacting to the speeches. Wonderfully done. Hats off to you. Hats off to all the speakers, the Let's Word It speakers, Aiza, Joane, Asma, and Toastmaster Shakil. I find it difficult to vote for a favorite speaker. I mean, I think we should suspend that vote, whatever it is, TPH. Yeah, it's unfair. Everything was wonderful. Couple of points that we must work on. Role players, please sign in at least 5 minutes before the meeting and do your audio video check. We need to know whether you're turning up for the meeting or not, or whether we should look for stand-ins. Yeah, our VP Ed is the most hardworking VP Ed in the entire district, and be kind to Toastmaster Mehr. A lot of the initiatives at WordWise, very seriously, a lot of the initiatives at WordWise, we are holding it back because it's too much of a drain on the XCOM. We're 2 months behind in some of the best initiatives that we have. So the least that all of us could do is to turn up on time for the meeting. TBH, this is a second meeting that I must tell you that you missed announcing the mission statement. We must do that. Next month, we're going to be having a very terrific or a terrible general evaluator. And his brief is to do a hit job on WordWise. We really need to gear up on some things. So we need to start dashing our T's and dotting our I's. With a stone on my heart, I must say that timing is something that we need to work on at WordWise. This meeting is 30 minutes beyond schedule. And I say this truly with a stone on my heart, yeah? And if we need to extend our meeting timings from 2 hours to 2.5 hours, so as to fit the additional segments or fit additional members, we should probably consider doing that. Something for XCOM to consider. And also, we probably need to shift the timeline to post-lunch and see whether 2.5 hours will work or not, because I think it's clashing with people's lunch and it brings down their energy. That's largely it. Toastmaster Meher, I'll be Noor Malik for one, and I'll tell you that the right way to pronounce the word is Celtic. Celtic is how most people pronounce it. Celtic is the right way to say it. And that's largely it from my end. Timing is something that we need to work on, and that's it from my side. Back to you, Toastmaster of the day. Back to you, Toastmaster Meher, for your closing comments.
Well, thank you. I would like to hand over the meeting to our acting president of the day for the closing comments and the awards.
Okay, thank you so much. So first, please vote for the best major role player. And in the meantime, how about inviting, Toastmaster Zuhaib Raza, your thoughts about the meeting? Or, okay, we can move to Toastmaster Tanvir Tahir. Okay, it seems everyone is terrified, but not Toastmaster Shakil Khwaja. Toastmaster Shakil, your comments. What's going on? Okay, sorry, Srijita, you raise your hand.
Toastmaster Gule Zehra's name was supposed to be in the poll. Like she also had a book review. Like, was it or was it not?
It's not like something we consider at par with the other major roles. Think of it as the big four, right?
Okay,
so,
sure. Yep.
So it was if it were a hosted session with multiple reviews, then perhaps. But again, it's a gray area, so not really sure. Anyhow, so okay, who else? Toastmaster Aarti, your comments.
Hello, I'm sorry, I just missed what you said. Could you please repeat?
Yeah, your comments about the meeting.
As always, there's much to learn. I think I kept sharing my thoughts in the chat box today. And I agree with Toastmaster Cyril. I think the timing is a bit odd, but otherwise, there is just so much to learn from every WordWise meeting. I think the speakers are incredible. And the takeaways I have, I think most of the things we discuss are things I last heard when I was in school. So this is just incredible to me. Your creativity, the preparation every role player does. I feel that I need to step up my game every time I come here. So those are always my thoughts. But overall, just love being here. In the interest of time, I'll hand over the stage back to you. Thank you.
We all do have to work extra hard. So that's a shared concern. Okay, any of Toastmasters Zuhair Raza or Toastmasters Tanvir Tahir, if you would like to share your comments quickly. What about you, Toastmaster Shakil Khwaja? Okay, and we've already had introduction from Aiza, so since she's soon becoming a member, how about
Toastmaster Sadia for her comments.
Sadia, yeah, I was coming to her. Yeah, Toastmaster Sadia, your comments.
So, as always, WordWise meeting always mesmerized me. It hooked me, and I have to go and make food for lunch. But I couldn't even resist by sitting and listening everything. It was a wonderful meeting. Everything that has been discussed, everything that has been from the book review, from the impromptu speech writing and everything, it was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your kind presence, and everyone that participates in the WordWise meeting manages to not only surprise us but delight us.
And I bet that every time we participate in a WordWise meeting, we manage to surprise ourselves too. So that's the magic of WordWise. And without further ado, after plenty of ado, I mean, whenever somebody says without further ado, that means that they've already wasted quite a bit of time. So I'd announce the results. Today's best speaker goes to yours truly. Sorry, Sadia, but the voting was really close. Best major role player, our TMOD / undercover keynote speaker, Toastmaster Mehr Tanvir. Again, tough contest for that, but and best wordsmith today goes to Toastmaster Aiza Osmani, or soon to be Toastmaster Aiza Osmani. Congratulations. Again, tough contest in this one. And finally, unfortunately, best evaluator would have to go to Toastmaster Asghar. With a heavy heart, with a stone on my heart, I would report that it has to go to Toastmaster Asghar because he's the only one qualified. So congratulations. And that's pretty much it. I think it's time to bring the meeting to a close. Thank you so much, everyone, for your presence. And yes, Toastmasters, sir.
A quick announcement. We have the contest coming up on the 8th of February, 7:30 p.m. or 7 p.m. or 7:30. I just need to recheck. 8th of February, Saturday. Please know that we'll be having the ISC and the Tall Tales contests. In case you're not participating as a contestant, do let Toastmaster Mehr know in case you can help us out as a participant, as a role player. That's largely it. And also the current XCOM has been sitting in their roles for 6 months. We have 6 more months to sit on our roles. If you would like to participate in the XCOM for next year, if you'd like to understand a role, do let Toastmaster Mehr or myself know. We'll be happy to walk you through the XCOM roles and step in as a co-officer, any role. Yeah, that's largely it. This meeting has, my apologies. I think it's you, Toastmaster Aiza, because whenever you're part of a meeting, that meeting it's easily half an hour beyond. Yeah, I got the culprit. Yes, this meeting, my apologies to all of you. Yeah, you've been caught. Yes. For an overextended meeting, but it was a delight having all of you. I was almost pressing in a GE note all the time, saying that wind up, but I just could not force myself to do it. Thank you so very much, and have a wonderful afternoon and a wonderful weekend ahead. God bless.
Thank you so much, everyone. See you all again. Bye.
Goodbye.